Hey guys, it's Charlotte, and today's video is going to be a bit more of a personal video today. Now that the holidays are over and people are going back to school, it made me reminisce and think about how when I was in high school, it really wasn't the best experience for me because of how much I was bullied. As you guys can obviously see, I'm still here today, and I have made it through all the bullying that I had in school. So I thought that I really wanted to make an inspirational video for you guys about how I was bullied and how to get past it and how to address it, and basically just what to do and the steps to take when you're being bullied. Honestly, it makes me really sad that I have to make this video, not because I'm like, oh, I have to make a video, but because I just know that there's still so many people out there, especially kids, being bullied and bullying other kids. And obviously we can't get rid of all the bad in the world, but I thought that I'd make a video for anyone out there who's being bullied to try to help them and realize that, guys, you are never alone. A lot of the time I felt like I was alone. I always had a good family, but still, you know, when you're in the midst of something like that, it feels like it's never gonna end. So I really hope this video can help some of you guys out there and also just bring some insight into the horror that bullying is and the effect that it can have on kids. So to start things from the beginning, my name is Charlotte and I was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Until the age of 4, me and my family lived in the city. When I was 4, my family decided to move out to the country because we thought that it would be great for the kids to grow up in the country and just like have a lot of space to roam around. So now I live on 40 acres and that's still where I am today with my family. And basically this is where we moved. So I ended up going to a very, very small school. Like, it is K-8 and there's honestly only 35 to 40 kids, depending on what year it was, in the whole school. Yeah! So it was mixed classrooms and it was just a really, really small school. So when I first started there, when I was a kid in kindergarten, I didn't grow up in that area in the country. I grew up in the city, only for 4 years. Crazy that it would make a difference, but it seemed to, because when I started going to the school, because I didn't grow up from when I was born with all the other kids, I was immediately a target. Some small schools can be so awesome, as I've heard, and it really creates a space of community, but for the school that I was in, when I was in it, there was nowhere else for me to really branch out to into any other groups of friends, so either it was like I was in the group or I wasn't. It's sad to think that bullying literally started right at the beginning of when I started going to school, but I remember constantly being picked on when I was at school, kids starting rumors about me, and it honestly was just not a great start. I did have one really good friend, but even still, it was really, really hard because everyone targeting you and you constantly feeling like an outsider, them bullying you, calling you names, making fun of you, picking you out of all of the other kids and being mean to you. It was just really, really hard for me. So you guys know, I also stayed in that school until I was in grade 7. As a kid, I was super cheerful. I was really an outgoing kid, full of life, but that seemed to make me an easy target for other people. I feel like when you're nice and you're a happy person, even though that's so much obviously a good thing, it can also sometimes make you an easy target, because what I always say is people either see someone who's doing well and they see it as inspiration to improve themselves, or they see that person and they want to tear that person down to their level. And sadly, when I was growing up, that's what it always seemed to be. Not saying that I was like this pure perfect person that all the kids wanted to be me. No, that's like not at all what it was. But I feel like because I was like a happy, nice person, it made me a really easy target. From about probably grade 3 onto my 7th grade there, I would come home basically every day from school crying. And it makes me really sad to think about that, because I don't think that, I don't think that any kid should have to when they're supposed to be going to school and making friends and learning new things. I don't think that they should be bullied so bad at school that they literally come home from school crying and cry their way home on the school bus. To me, that is just so awful. So from the years, I think, from the years grade 5 to 7, or I think 6 to 7, because then it was the final straw, and I had to move schools. I made it to the top 6 of a kids singing show in Canada, which was kind of like a kids version of American Idol. I made it to the top 6 in the first season. It's called The Next Star, by the way. Some of you guys might have seen me on there. I don't know. But I was on the first season, and because music has always been my healthy coping mechanism that I would always go to. And it would be my safe space for me to feel comfortable, be myself, and just let all my positive energy and all my negative energy go out into my music, and just a way to express myself. So I was so excited to make it onto this show, and as I said, I made it to the top 6, and the day after I made it to the top 6, I was rushed to the hospital, and I ended up being diagnosed with viral meningitis and pneumonia in my right lung. I also had 6 lesions on my brain, which are now fully recovered too, which is so wonderful, and there is no permanent damage, which I just am so happy, and I thank God every day. And I ended up having to drop out of the show. I was replaced, and this was over the summer of 2008. So I had some of the summer to recover, but I wasn't fully recovered until January of 2009. So January of that year. But I was still in okay shape to go back to school in the fall. So going back to school in the fall, I was obviously very nervous, and I wasn't 100% myself. As I said, I wasn't fully recovered yet, and because of the medicinal steroids that I was on for the illness, because it was actually life-threatening, and it was honestly, give or take, while I was sick, I was in the state of a disabled child, and without the medicinal steroids, and even then we weren't sure if I was going to get back to my normal state, like who I am today, or if I was going to be stuck with that kind of, mentality forever. So luckily I did recover, but I also gained 30 pounds within 1 month of being on the medicinal steroids. And going back to school, when I already got bullied so many years before, I was pretty nervous. Kids were kind of supportive at first. Everyone's always interested in what you're doing. If something happens, there's always some kind of interest because they want to get in on the drama, which honestly we can probably say we're all guilty of. Going back to school that summer, a lot of the kids, because of the weight I gained, would constantly bully me about my weight and would say how I look like I'm pregnant and how I'm so chubby, and they would then compare my body type with other girls in the school and say how I'm so chubby and fat. And I don't think anyone should be so judged for their size like that. No one should be bullied by their size or made to feel like they're less than. And this was especially hard for me because it was hard for me enough coming to terms with the new weight I had gained, because for me it was so hard. I have a video on this as well. It wasn't even my own doing for gaining the weight. It was because of an illness and for me recovering. So I don't think I should have been made to feel bad at all about that weight. And as I said, no one should ever be bullied about their weight or the way they look. Especially that year after getting sick, I really didn't have any friends then. It seemed like everyone had turned against me. And what I also didn't like was a lot of the time, the teachers themselves would make it out to be like it's my fault that I'm getting bullied. Like somehow I'm doing something wrong and I deserve to be bullied. Kind of like the mindset boys will be boys and kids will be kids. I don't agree with that. I don't think that bullying is beneficial at all to a kid growing up, and I don't think it's something that is necessary or that should be blown off at all. So it was just hard, the whole atmosphere, especially as a young kid growing up in elementary, for the teachers to be against me, the kids to be bullying, and there was no real support from anybody. Coming home from school crying as every day. My mom would call the school every day. She was so wonderful at this. I'm so glad I had and still have her. Thank goodness. She would call the school every day to talk to the teachers, and this is also something I would recommend to anyone being bullied right now. Tell the teachers and tell your parents about what you're going through. It is the best way to try to get on this situation. Sadly, the teachers at my school didn't deal with it that great, but honestly, guys, this is what I'd recommend, especially at the beginning, so you can nip it in the bud. But I remember, I think it was my last year at that school, grade 7, I remember there was like one of these school dances. I can't remember what it was. And I remember being at the school dance trying to just have fun. A lot of the time, kids would create rumors about me and they would not tell me what they are, and they'd kind of just be like, hush, hush. Sorry, that I never really knew what it was. So I was like wondering what all the mean things everyone was saying about me. And I think it was like something like that at this dance. And because of that, I got pulled away by the teachers from the dance. From the kids bullying me and being mean to me, I got pulled out of the dance, and then I had to go sit with a counselor while everybody else was enjoying the school dance. And I remember just being in tears and crying, just thinking about how everyone else is having fun and they get to be a part of things, and I'm constantly the odd one out and the one being picked out of everyone. There was even a point in the school where kids, it's the stupidest thing that they would bully me about this, but kids would bully me, telling me that I can't hear properly. And they would whisper things really quietly, and I would ask them what they said. I'd be like, what did you say? And they'd say, wow, you can't hear me? You have such horrible hearing. And it was something that they would do all the time. And it got to the point where my mom said, okay, you know what, Charlotte? We're gonna go get your hearing tested. So I got my hearing tested, and my hearing was spot on. So I told all the kids at school, and I'm so glad my mom did that for me, because it's a lot of trouble, I guess, to get your hearing tested, but we went out of the way just to show them it's not my fault. And even if it was that I had bad hearing, why should I be bullied about that? You know, that's what it always comes down to. So, to move on from that school, thank gosh, in the year of grade 8, I decided to move schools to the school in a bigger town. It's kind of like a 15-minute drive, whereas the school was like a 5-minute drive. And that year, I started going to that school. This summer, before I started school, I went to IMC, which is the International Music Camp, and I actually made friends with some girls there who were actually from the school that I was going to start at. And I'm so glad I made friends with them, because that really gave me a fresh start moving into a new school and making me feel like there's not something wrong with me. Because when you're being bullied, you constantly think there's something wrong with you. You know, I was glad I had my music, because that was something that I could still run to and feel safe in and feel happy doing. So going into the new school, I was so excited. I started school that year, and honestly, I'm so glad that I was able to change schools. To be able to change schools, I actually had to take counseling through the school, or else they wouldn't have let me change schools. It's like, isn't it obvious that I'm being bullied when my mom constantly has to call the school every day? But luckily, I had to take the counseling, but whatever, because I was able to change schools. One thing that was really hard for me when I was moving to this new school, though, is without me knowing, when I started school in the fall, in my new school in grade 8, one of the same kids from the old school I went to ended up changing schools as well. And everybody then made it like I was stalking the kid and I'm trying to move to the same school as him and all this kind of stuff, when literally I was trying to get away from the bullying in the other school. But I'm really glad that I did have my friends in the new year, and it was a world's difference. Starting a new school that was also a lot bigger. There was more kids that were interested in music like I was. You know, I think that probably was my best year, because I made a lot of new friends. So, as time went on, that is when I went into high school. So, for us, high school is grade 9 to grade 12. I'm Canadian, so for any of you guys wondering what ages that was, I think that's age 14 to approximately 18. So yeah, I started going to high school, and the summer before I started going to high school, if you guys watched my fitness journey video, that is when I lost all of the weight that I had gained when I was sick. So basically that whole summer, it took me, I think, 3 months. Yeah, it took me 3 months, and I dropped the 30 pounds. So I was basically like a brand new chick going into grade 9. And the funniest thing was when I went to school and everybody saw that I had healthily lost the weight, the same girl who always used to call me pregnant was then asking me for weight loss tips. I feel like I've mentioned this in a video before, but guys, this just shows you that a lot of the time, it's hard to think of it this way, especially since kids and bullies can be so mean. But a lot of the time why bullies bully is because they're insecure in themselves, or they're dealing with their own issues, and instead of trying to positively cope with it, or they take it out on others and self-project. So going into high school, I still had my 3 really good friends. It was just really awesome that I finally had some close friends. But sadly, the bullying didn't stop there. I remember in grade 9, I got those Heeley shoes because I had never had them when I was a really young kid. And I was like so excited. I'm like, I'm gonna go through the school halls using my Heelys, being fab. You know, and as I said, I was always like a really ridiculous kid. I was always really outgoing. So I was really excited to have my Heelys. And it sounds stupid, but the seniors in the school would seriously bully me so much about my shoes and just about everything. Whenever I was wearing the shoes, they would make snide comments to me saying I'm so stupid and the shoes are stupid and they're so weird and I'm weird, you know, all those kind of things. They would be coming up and saying that to me. And I don't know why they even cared about me. Like, I guess something that made me stand out as well is, as I said, I've always loved my music. But going into high school, this is especially when I really noticed my music making people jealous of me and bullying me because of my music. And I honestly, guys, I've never been the kind of person to show off about my music. I didn't go in the high school musical. I never tried for a high school musical main part until the last year because I didn't want other kids to feel like I was trying to outdo them and get all the main parts, because you know, I feel bad about that. Like, I never want to make other kids feel less than. And because kids knew that music's what I wanted to do for my career, and because outside of school I would be winning competitions, recording music, I never ever wanted to make the kids feel like I'm a show-off or trying to be better than them. But even then, I still found that because of, I guess, my talent with music, kids would bully me because of that as well. So throughout high school, this especially is when I really noticed cyberbullying starting to set in. I definitely had some in elementary as well, which made bullying translate to home too, which I hated because, you know, then it's no longer just at school. It's also when you come home and check your Twitter. I think back then it was like Ask FM or something that we had, or Formspring, that's what it was. People sending mean messages on there, on Tumblr, all of those kind of things. And when I was in high school, as I said, that's when it really started taking off. I also wanted to mention that high school is also when kids started calling my home and bullying me anonymously over the phone. So, jumping ahead a bit, in my last year of high school, I finally decided that I wanted to try for my high school's musical, since I'm like, well, music is my true passion, and I thought, it's my last year of high school. I didn't try to ever get any of the main parts when I was younger, so I thought that it would be a lot of fun to join the musical now, since it's something I love doing, not to show off, but because it's something I really love to do. And I don't want to get into details because that would take forever. But I ended up having to drop out of the musical because of how much I was bullied by the other kids. And I thought that it would be okay because I had waited all those years to finally join the musical, but kids, I guess, still they didn't accept me into that space. And I don't know if it's that they felt intimidated or what it was, but it got really bad. I remember the day when I had to drop out of the musical because of the bullying. I came home, I was crying all the time on my drive home. I was crying at home, and I took a nap because I was just so exhausted emotionally. And when I wake up, I check my phone for me to have a bunch of notifications of kids tweeting at me, bullying me. I can't remember the exact things they said, but it was so mean, I remember. And it was just awful. A lot of bullying online started happening. People gossiping, me having to block so many kids from my school on my Facebook especially, a lot of kids started bullying me. And it just became really bad. Like, basically, I had almost my, like, whole school blocked. Another thing I remember in my last year of high school is there was this thing in the yearbook, like, vote who has the nicest hair, vote who has, like, the brightest smile and stuff like that. And because I was a really, like, an outgoing, you know, energetic kid, not afraid to be myself, not afraid to be, like, the class clown, and they had who's the most I think it was either obnoxious or loudest person in the whole grade. This was like for the seniors, so like people in grade 12, who was the most obnoxious person, and everyone voted me. And I remember a girl who she seemed like she was nice, but she really was a huge bully. She was on the yearbook committee, and funny enough, she won the Quiet Kindness Award when literally she was such a bully. She came into my classroom and said, "Charlotte, can we pull you aside?" I was like, "Yeah, what is it?" She's like, "You've been voted the loudest or the obnoxious kid in the school. Is it okay if we put it in there? It should be fine." And I was like, "No." I said, "You know very well that the reason I was voted that was not because kids like me, but they were doing it as a way to bully me." And I can guarantee you she voted for me as well as that. And she said, no, it's not like that at all. When I knew very well that it was. So that was kind of just like the icing on top of the cake. If I didn't have music, guys, if I didn't have my music, I don't know, honestly, where I would have been or if I would have been okay as a kid, because my music was my safe space and what made me feel happy and made me feel like I had a purpose. So I'm so glad that I found a healthy, positive hobby that I absolutely love to this day that was able to get me through bullying. So that is basically my story of how I was bullied in high school. Sorry if I didn't go into exact detail about a lot of the things, but I know that to this day a lot of kids from high school don't like me, and I just don't want to ruffle any feathers. And I also don't feel like it's necessary for me to, you know, because I don't want to bully other people either, and I don't want to dog them, and of course I'm not going to say anybody's name. But I don't want to come across like I'm trying to out them or anything. I'm just trying to share my experience with you guys and show you that you're not alone and that other people have been through this too. And never be afraid to confide in a close family member, a close friend, or even a teacher that you really like in the school about what you're going through, because that can really help, even just talking to someone. And as I said, guys, for me, my healthy coping mechanism and really what helped me get through bullying was my music, songwriting, playing guitar, singing. That really made me feel just wonderful. It was my happy place, as I said, that I always went to. And any of you guys who feel like you're alone, I say start a hobby. You know, not everyone knows what their hobby is, but try a whole new different things. As I've gotten older, I've even found new things that I'm interested in, you know? So try drawing. I can't draw, I wish I could. Playing an instrument like I have, singing, acting, doing some kind of school sport. Hello, Patches. Look who came to join us. She's trying to cheer me up. Oh, here's a good healthy coping mechanism. Get a pet, kiss them to death, make them your new best friend. Because guess what? They're never going to be bullying you unless they scratch or try to run away. Who agrees? Thumbs us up if cats are better than people. And also something that I'd say as well is focus on actual schoolwork. I know that it can be hard when you are being bullied to focus on other things. But honestly, guys, I say focus on your school, focus on your grades, think of the long term, and always know that high school is not the rest of your world. Things are so different now that I'm out of high school, and this is not how life is going to be for the rest of your life. So know that there is more ahead of you guys. You will get through this. You are strong, beautiful human beings. You deserve happiness, and you will get past high school. It will make you a stronger person, and you are going to be a wonderful young woman or a young man. Your life is not ending now. If you're thinking of anything like that, don't do it. I swear, it sounds so gosh darn cliche, but things do get better, I swear, and you can make it through this, okay? I've been through the same kind of thing. I totally know what you guys are going through, and you guys can make it through. There was times when I didn't feel like I could make it through, but I have, and I know you guys can too. Alright, so I really hope that this video can help some of you guys out there. I'm sorry if it was a bit rambly, but it was just something I really wanted to come from my heart. I really hope that it helps some of you guys out there. There was always a light at the end of the tunnel. Your life is going to be amazing, regardless of whether you were bullied in high school. I love you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful year, a wonderful life. And I will see you guys next video. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all. Bye.